everyone, I'm Joyjit Guha. Today I'm going to talk about the first step in Python. Now before we move inside the first step of Python, let us know something about Python, the language Python. Now the developer of the Python language is Mr. Guido van Rossum. Mr. Guido van Rossum invented this particular language while thinking about the end users like us. When he started creating this particular language, he was really facing some problems while working with that particular language, while developing the language. Now then he thought that let us take the advantages from all the other languages and implement this particular language. Now this particular language, when it came in the market, it was not being accepted by the user at the first time, because they thought that this particular language will have some different disabilities and all those. Now then, when people started using this particular language, they found that this particular language is really easy to use and it is very much user friendly. Now how is it user friendly? Mr. Guido van Rossum, when developed this particular language, he always thought about the developers like us, and he implemented some important, very much key factors that we are going to look into it. Then, when he started working with this particular language, he implemented the language Python, and so he moved on. Now, when the language Python was working, when we started working with the language Python, we found that the key factors, for example, the variables, the data types, and all those things, which was the main concern in other languages, was really a very key factor in other languages, was being removed over here. Now, how he removed that? He removed it by assigning the language Python with a new ability. The ability was the ability for assigning the data type by its own. Let me show you one example. Now, in this particular slide, as you can see, I have declared a variable with the value 10. A equal to 10. Now, over here, A equal to 10 will hold the value integer in the variable A. And now when we can see the variable A, that means the type of this particular variable A, by seeing it we can understand it's an integer. Now as it is an integer, we are always thinking that whether it has assigned it properly or not. Now when we are seeing it, how to check that particular thing? To check the particular thing that whether the variable A is an integer or not, we are going to use an inbuilt function named as type. How we can use it? By writing type, and within the parentheses we are going to pass the variable A. Now, as you can see in the next part, I have written A equal to 12.23. That means this 12.23 is what? It's a float value. That means the same variable is holding another data type value inside it without changing the data type by our own. The interpreter is doing what? He is changing the data type automatically when we are assigning it. So that means now if I recheck the type of the variable A, we are going to find out the data type of variable A is float. Now next, as we can see over here, the variable A is holding now the value hello. Hello is a string. So that means the same logic is applied over here. The same variable is holding the same value hello. Now while declaring, you can see the last two lines are looking really same, but there is a difference. The difference is what? The difference is one at the last line I have used a single quote, in the previous line I have used a double quotes while declaring a string. Now there in Python we don't have any basic difference between the double quotes and single quotes while declaring a string. Now let us start learning the language Python. That means now we are going to learn that how we can write a code in Python. Normally when we write a code in Python in other languages, what we see, we have to follow some predefined guidelines. That means those guidelines should be followed over the other languages. But in Python we don't need to follow this. Now let us see. In this slide I have shown you a basic simple program of addition of two numbers. Now as you can see, I have initialized the variable A with the value 10 and variable B with the value 20. Now I have added them up in variable C, A plus B, and the printing statement in Python is print, and I have passed the variable C inside the print function as a parameter, and if I run this code I am going to get the output of this particular program. Now, by seeing this particular code, I remember another thing that Mr. Kudo and Rossum has demanded. What is that? That is, the Python will take 1/3 of the code than compared with other languages. That means if I write 3 lines in Java for completing my task, then it will take only 1 line in Python to complete that. So how is it possible? Is it either whether it is possible or not? We need to verify it. So over here in this particular program, you can see that I have written 4 lines to perform the task. In other languages, it is exactly as the same. Okay. Now let us reduce. Let us try to reduce the code. Now over here in this particular slide, you can see that I have performed the same task, but it got reduced from 4 lines to 2 lines. What I have done? I have written 2 variables. I have initialized 2 variables a, v, and I have assigned 2 values, that is 10 and 20 inside it. So that means the variable a is holding the value 10, followed by the variable b is holding the value 20. Now in Python, the print statement has another ability that it can add 2 numbers inside the print function and it can print the output of that particular value. So that's why I've used the print statement. I've written a plus b. So now if I run this particular code, I'm going to get the same output. So that means I've reduced the code from 4 lines to 2 lines. Now after doing this, I'm not really satisfied because I want to reduce the code a little bit more. So how can I do it? Let us try. Come on, let's see over here. Now this one, you can see that I have just written 10 plus 20. So by seeing this, you are going to think that how is it possible? By writing only this, will it work? Yes, in Python, it will going to work. How? Because Python has the concept called shell scripting. Python is a scripting language. Now when I am saying about shell scripting, then by hearing my particular this word, you are going to think that yes, whether it's a scripting language or not. Scripting language means Python is fully interpreter based language. That means it has interpreter. Now one thing, if I say this particular word, then I am not perfectly correct. Why I am not correct? Because Python is a scripting language, it is interpreter based, it's fine. But in Python we also have the concept of compiler. That means I cannot say Python is fully as a scripting language because I have a compiler. And what is that name of the compiler? The name of the compiler is PyPy. By using that particular compiler, we can say that yes, Python is also a programming language. That means it is compiler based. So by this, I'm going to end my today's topic. For continue in the next slide, we're going to talk about the strings. Thank you.